Best known for his matrix-style evasion skills, Rafael Fiziev is considered by many to have the best Muay Thai in the UFC. So, let's break down the man from Kyrgyzstan and see how he has successfully transitioned his striking from Muay Thai to MMA. Footwork. Although Fiziev has adapted his footwork for MMA, his base is Muay Thai. Muay Thai fighters can be known as flat-footed, lacking the dynamic movement of traditional boxing. Being flat-footed is often associated with slower mobility or reduced ability to rapidly change direction. However, in certain contexts, it can also imply a more grounded and stable position, which can generate more power in strikes or improve balance. Now, I'm not saying that Muay Thai fighters are completely flat-footed. They still have elements of dynamic movement, but they're much more likely to stand in one place and use less ring craft and ring generalship than you would see in a sport like boxing. Muay Thai fighters are often perceived as flat-footed for the following reasons. Power generation. The flat-footed stance allows a fighter to sit into their strikes, especially powerful kicks, knees, elbows and punches. Stability from being grounded maximises the transfer of energy from the ground to the opponent. Again, this means that a fighter is just striking from a more stationary position rather than completely flat-footed. Defensive stability. Muay Thai emphasises the ability to block strikes with the legs and arms. Being flat-footed provides better balance when absorbing strikes. Clinching. Clinch fighting is a critical aspect of Muay Thai. It requires a solid grounded stance to resist being thrown off balance, and if you're moving backwards, then it's going to be harder to get into a clinch. Energy conservation. Muay Thai fighters are often fighting at a measured pace, and they're conserving energy for the last few rounds. A more stationary approach minimises unnecessary movement. Trade-offs for being flat-footed. While being flat-footed enhances power and stability, it does come at a cost. Fighters will have reduced agility and evasiveness, and generally slower footwork compared to fighters who stay on their toes. Now, Fiziev will move a lot more when he competes in MMA than he would otherwise. We would seldom see him move laterally for an extended period of time in Muay Thai, as opponents are more focused on scoring points with kicks or landing heavy hands or elbows, which require them to be more stationary to defend and counter back quickly. This is why we see the rallies of back and forth kick exchanges in Muay Thai. In mixed martial arts, the small gloves, takedowns and scoring criteria, with all strikes scored equally, fighters need to be able to change direction a lot quicker. The other element in MMA which causes fighters to want to move more is that with fighters coming from all sorts of different martial arts backgrounds, many having a grappling base, they are simply not as comfortable standing and trading on the feet. They do not have the defensive acumen to afford them the privilege to stand in front of an opponent. Fiziev has the luxury of being able to do both. He will move and circle around the cage, and he will stand directly in front when needed. This is what having an extensive striking background can do for you. It helps that Fiziev is built like a fridge, being shorter and heavily muscled for the 155-pound division. He also has experience in other martial arts and has clearly trained wrestling to a high standard, but the striking experience has given him the composure needed for the bright lights of the UFC. Now let's get into some of the more technical details of the man from Kyrgyzstan. The left hook. Fiziev has a left hook for all occasions, as a lead, as part of a combination and as a counterpunch. His technique on the shot is almost flawless, and he'll throw it the same way regardless of the size of glove he's wearing. In boxing, it is ill-advised to open with a lateral punch as it leaves the fighter susceptible to being countered with straight punches down the middle. Kicking sports can allow a fighter a little more grace, especially in Muay Thai. With the fighters more willing to stand in front, there is less distance to cover, and as we've already spoken about, they're going to move around a lot less. Muay Thai fighters often have a narrower stance, which means they're less able to counter-punch effectively. They're more focused on countering back with the kicks. Fiziev can take advantage of this and leap in with lead hooks to the head and body with little regard for what might come back his way. Something we have spoken about in other pro striking videos is punch commitment. Fiziev knows when to commit to a punch, and he will throw with bad intentions when the time is right. He has scored multiple knockdowns throwing the hook cross in combination, and this can partly be attributed to his pairing of the left hook and the right low kick. The left hook is a great way of knocking an opponent's weight onto their lead leg, which means they are forced to take the kick. The rotation of the hook creates a load up on the right side, which makes the low kick more powerful. Fiziev, being the explosive athlete that he is, can put the two techniques together in quick succession, giving the opponent little time to react. A common reaction to a left hook is for a fighter to pull away from the punch, and this can also be in anticipation to block a potential low kick, shifting all the weight into the back foot to lift the lead leg and check the kick. Something we will talk more about shortly is being able to misdirect and make punches look the same, and if Fiziev has been chipping away with low kicks and the opponent's leg is beaten up, they'll be more concerned with protecting the compromised area and may neglect other areas of defence. If Fiziev throws the hook and you are worried about the following kick, you might not realise he isn't kicking at all. Anytime the right shoulder is pulled back, you can't tell if it's a right hand or a right low kick. Trying to get out the way of a left hook by pulling back can come at the cost of an opponent leaving themselves out of position and off balance. You are unable to block punches effectively. Putting too much weight into the back heel, leaning over the back foot, is something Fiziev capitalises on by following with the cross. Again, he's closing the gap hard with full commitment on both punches. He's put all his body weight into the shots. This skill of closing the distance serves him well in mixed martial arts, as there is generally more distance to cover due to opponents not standing directly in front of each other. Fighters stand further apart and utilise more footwork. As spoken about earlier, if you're from a wrestling background, you might not feel very comfortable with a man like Rafael Fiziev standing in front of you swinging windy hammers. Being able to close the gap effectively, whether striking or wrestling, is a required skill in MMA. With Fiziev usually being the shorter fighter at a reach disadvantage, it becomes an even more important aspect of the sport. As spoken about earlier, Fiziev has the confidence to stand in front of an opponent even in the 4-ounce gloves. He has good eyes and his experience affords him the option to take that risk. In this example, we see Fiziev block and evade punches from a position where the majority of mixed martial arts fighters would be in trouble. Fiziev collects the data. How hard does the opponent punch? Which punch is the opponent selecting? What is their preferred distance they wish to attack? Fiziev can take the data and assess the level of danger. He can then subconsciously process what is going on and decide if he can trade with the opponent. Can he counterpunch in the pocket, or does he need to get out of there and reset the action? Fiziev will lead with the hook to both the head and body. Shorter arm reach means he can rotate a punch quicker and beat a taller opponent on the inside. However, Fiziev loves to left hook from range. When he throws the left hook, he loads from a low base. He is bent at the knees, left shoulder pulled back, and the starting position is the same when he hits the shots to both the head and body. It makes it difficult for the opponent to choose the correct defence in the split second they must decide, and this can create a dilemma for the opponent. Am I being hit to the head or body? Where do I need to prioritise my defence? Here we see Fiziev land a crippling left hook combo on his opponent. Fiziev backs his opponent toward the wall before dipping and loading his rear side. The opponent could be thinking multiple things here: a right hand with the shoulder coming forward, or it could be a loaded left hook to the head. I think in this instance, the opponent reacted to the shoulder coming forward, believing there was a right hand coming as he dips his head hard to the left. Unfortunately, he chose wrong and exposed his right side, where Fiziev sent a left to the body before coming back upstairs as the opponent corrected his stance, coming back upright, which brought him directly into the hook. Those two punches changed the course of the fight. Fiziev is great at disguising punches. It's hard to tell if it's a right hand, a left hook, a left uppercut, a left body shot, which makes it very hard to defend accordingly. Fiziev will snipe a left uppercut to right hand combination, which will split the guard of the opponent. The lead uppercut knocks the head up and lines up the straight right kill shot. The load up on the uppercut looks like when Fiziev throws a left hook, with Fiziev once again capitalising on tendencies, making his shots look similar. Another tactic Fiziev employs to land his left hook is stepping to his left. Against an orthodox opponent, this can be dangerous as he's bringing himself closer to the right hand, but Fiziev can be a smart man and he has methods to test if it's safe to go. Here we see Fiziev walking his opponent towards the power side. Fiziev fishes for openings by touching at the opponent's lead hand, pouring with his own lead hand, which is gauging the distance whilst luring his opponent into a full sense of security. In the first exchange, he attempts a very powerful uppercut to cross combo, which just glances by. He then starts the process all over again. He then uses the right hand to set up the left hook that levels his opponent for the count. The follow through on the left hook is yet another example of the commitment behind Fiziev's punches. He's throwing with bad intentions. Offbeat timing. The traditional rhythm of Muay Thai is a lot of single strikes. Kick, teep, punch punch, kick. If you watch Muay Thai pad work or watch enough stadium fights, you get a feel for the rhythm and tempo. Fighters have less success punching in combination, as with so many other weapons available, it is much easier to disrupt a combo. You want to land a jab cross hook, and whilst in the middle of this combination, you could be teeped, have the opponent step in with an elbow, or they throw in a body kick as you step into hook. They might even extend their arms out, jam up your punches, and tie you up in a clinch. This means the drumbeat of a Muay Thai fight can be much more predictable. Fighters like to throw more single shots to create less openings for the opponent to capitalise with counters. Fiziev exploits this predictability by occasionally breaking his rhythm, and this is another element that has made him able to adjust his style for mixed martial arts. Fiziev will go from a single shot pace to explode into a rapid 2 or 3 punch combination that catches his opponents by surprise. Whether this is conscious or subconscious, only he knows, but it's really effective. Fiziev loves to punch off of a kick, and this is a great example of a change in rhythm, catching an opponent by surprise. He lands an inside low kick, landing square momentarily, which looks like an opportunity for his opponent to attack. This is as Fiziev is shuffling his feet, bringing his left foot forward with his right foot back to spring into a hook cross. Again, he clearly catches his opponent by surprise. Dynamic striking. Although Fiziev would fit into the category of a Muay mat stylist, a term used to describe a puncher low kicker in Muay Thai, he's a very dynamic striker. Fiziev is versatile. Not only can he utilise all weapons within the rule set, from the more conventional boxing and Muay Thai techniques to the spinning back fists and kicks, but he can fight well in both stances. Fiziev will flow between the ranges and can adapt on the fly. If he misses one technique, he can turn it into another. Here we see him throwing a left kick, stepping into southpaw to throw a lead side overhand, then following with another kick to return back to orthodox stance before feinting a left hook into a spinning back fist. Fiziev is a handful when he gets into a groove. Fiziev can blend the more traditional techniques and rhythm into attacks that are offbeat, which makes him really difficult to time, as spoken about earlier. This serves him well in mixed martial arts, where all the strikes score equally, and you can get more bang for your buck with punches in the 4-ounce gloves than you would get in the more cushioned gloves of traditional Muay Thai. Fiziev's dynamic striking style has made his crossover into mixed martial arts seamless. Fiziev has excellent flexibility and dexterity of the legs, and is able to throw kicks in a range where most people can't. Here we see Fiziev throw a right hand and step through on the punch. He gets right on top of his opponent, which forces him to step back into a high kick that Fiziev has waiting for him. The opponent was caught with a high kick in a range where he wasn't concerned with being hit with that particular shot. Fiziev seems too close to whip up a head kick, but he does. Outside of the more flashy and flamboyant techniques, Fiziev's ability to strike all targets at such a close range with all weapons is another skill that's made his striking transition into MMA much easier. Rafael Fiziev's success in mixed martial arts is a testament to his ability to adapt his traditional Muay Thai roots to the multifaceted demands of mixed martial arts. He's refined his striking game to account for the diverse threats of MMA, and he's seamlessly integrated lateral movement, cage awareness, and defensive techniques that mitigate takedown risks whilst preserving his explosive offensive arsenal. Fiziev's evolution highlights not only the adaptability of Muay Thai, but also his own ingenuity as a martial artist, making him a formidable force in the lightweight division. Not every Muay Thai fighter has the ability to transfer over into mixed martial arts and have such success as Rafael Fiziev. As always, thank you for watching the video. If you've made it this far, then you potentially have the attention span required for more in-depth tutorials and breakdowns on the Pro Striking Patreon. Feel free to check it out, the link is in the bio. Pro Striking appreciates you more than seeing Rafael Fiziev run through the Bangla Stadium lightweight division.